I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
I want to go home, Anthony Oliver. Let's do it.
Well, if it weren't for my old dogs and the good Lord, they'd have me strung up in the psych ward. 'Cause every day living in this new world is one too many days to me. Son, we're on the brink of the next world war, and I don't think nobody's praying no more, and I ain't saying I know it for sure. I'm just down on my knees begging the Lord to take me home. I wanna go home. I don't know which road to go. It's been so long. I just know I didn't used to wake up feeling this way, cussing myself every damn day. There's always some kind of bill to pay. People just doing what the rich man say. I wanna go home. Now 4 generations farming the ground. Grandson sells it to a man out of town. And 2 weeks later, the trees go down. Only got concrete growing around. I wanna go home. I wanna go home. I don't know which road to go. It's been so long. I just know I didn't used to wake up feeling this way, cussing myself every damn day. People have really gone and lost their way. They all just do what the TV say. I wanna go home. If it weren't for my old dogs and the good Lord, they'd have me strung up in the psych ward.
This is a guy that's generating all this controversy?
What? I don't understand what the controversy is.
This must not be the song. This is, I think Middle talked about this. This is a very, very stripped down song. This is the first song I've heard from this guy. I don't know, like, there has to be different genres of country. But when I listen to, what's that, the girl, she's selling all the, I forgot, but there's a big star right now. She's a country person, but all her songs
Swift?
like sound the same. Taylor Swift. Yeah, but like, she's country and stuff, I guess, but like,
It's kind of like pop country.
it's just, yeah, it's pop. Like this stuff right here, like no disrespect to Taylor Swift, but like, it's definitely like stripped down, not overproduced, and it's his real.
I love it.
It's real raw emotion.
Yeah.
Yep. It's real, and again, it's talking about the economic situation that we're in. Like the economics are a big part of what he's talking about here.
Yeah.
And as well as like not being able to think with your own mind. He says we just do what the rich man say. There's always some kind of new bill to pay. People just doing what the rich man say. I want to go home.
Yeah, but this one, son, we're on the brink of the next world war, and I don't think nobody's praying no more. And I ain't saying I know for sure.
Right.
I'm just down on my knees. I liked that because I felt like, and I've heard people say this, like kind of when you get to that point where you're like, man, I just want to, because people talk about, when you get suicidal, or it's not even being suicidal though, like what he's describing, it's this understanding that that like God is on the other side of all of this. Mm-hmm. And so wanting to be done with whatever's going on here and like go to the next spot. And I think that like that's relatable for a lot of us.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, it definitely, I was having a conversation with Johan, and it just broke my heart to hear him talking about some of the things that are affecting him, and knowing that you can't say like, oh, it's going to be all right, man, blah, 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 because I don't do that. I don't lie to the kids. Like, there's a lot of ugliness in the world. And my mom used to say that all the time. She used to pace up and down the house, telling God she wants to go home. Like, yeah, man.
I've always heard my dad say it too.
If you're a Christian, which I'm assuming this guy is, it is so hard to explain like those experiences. Like, it's not just escapism, although there's a very big element of escapism. I want to get out of here. Mm-hmm. But the familiarity, Paul talks about the fellowship of the Holy Spirit. And there's a lot of shit that I understand people don't get, but like that familiar feeling of when God's interfacing with you, mm-hmm. and like, it's God, and like you never want that moment to end. Like, I almost hate having those moments because I know they're not going to last. Then I end up like, oh man, I wish I could get back there, blah, blah, blah. But it's so hard to explain to somebody who's not a Christian, like what goes through your mind when you see all this ugliness. And then you think about, simple scriptures. God so loved the world that he gave his only son. It's like,
or he loved us before we first loved him.
Yeah. Yeah. Like real basic stuff that as a Christian, like you've heard your whole life. But as you start going out in life yourself and you're seeing, hey, we're on the brink of World War III, and hey, we got people in this country that can't afford XYZ, but we're sending billions and billions of dollars to these people so we can perpetuate warfare, so these people can die. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing. It's like, on the one hand, it's like, those are some nefarious actors over there. I don't want to support them people. We've already done that before. We've done that where we supported the Mujahideen and then they took the weapons that we bought them and turned it against us. It's like... Mm-hmm. And it's true. Like, I'll tell you, one of the biggest things to me that really like infuriated me was the Twitter file stuff. When I saw that you had government leaders being taken to task or taking to task the people of Twitter to get them to stifle people's speech, even to the point where if you shared an article, even in private message, they would suspend your account.
That's insane. Because
they were so committed to making sure that Joe Biden had the best chance possible that they colluded with our government to influence the election. That was so infuriating to me. So when he says, like, you just follow what the rich man say, you're just doing what the rich man say, that's literally what happened. They held the entire country hostage until the election was over. Then when the election was over, they said, okay, now you guys can go post because it's already happened. So it's a fait accompli at this point. Like, I don't care who it benefits or who it hurts. That is not the fucking role of the government or Twitter or whoever else. Like, that's not your fucking role to collude with with one aspect of the government. I don't care who it is. I really don't care. So, like, I was surprised at how people were just like, meh. It's like, okay. We don't care about freedom, I guess. You don't care about freedom of speech. You don't care about freedom of thought. People are like, that's fine. It's like, okay. So, like, I definitely see that right there. It's like people just doing what the rich men say. And then later on, he's saying they just do what the TV says. And it's like, those are all issues that are going on right now. And it is extremely frustrating. And it's almost impossible now to have these conversations with people across the aisle because we're now living in completely different realities. Like, we're not operating from the same frames of reference anymore.
Right.
It's just,
right.
it's we have completely different lexicons. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a certain group in America, the minute they hear free speech, they're against it. Like, they're programmed to be against the concept of free speech.
Yeah.
Like, and they don't even know how self-destructive that is to buy into that bullshit. So, like, you have to account for that. That's got to be accounted for. You can't just say, yeah, I mean, yeah, those people really screwed with our free speech and definitely influenced an election, but it was against Trump, so it's okay. It's like, right, so the media convinced you that Trump was a hyperbole of himself. The media convinced you that Trump was more dangerous than he really was. So the minute that they're able to do that, they can then justify any crazy thing that they want to do that's anti-American. I don't know if it's a fact that we don't understand basic civics. I don't know if it's that we don't understand what rights are. I don't know if it's because we don't understand why free speech is important. It's not just so that you can say whatever you want to say. Free speech is important because speech control is thought control. That's the point. So, like, yeah, like, I'm very concerned because, like, people should be angry. Like, there should have been, like, real negative energy around that. And there
100%.
wasn't. And it was because the media had successfully, I'm sorry, brainwashed the populace into believing that this guy, I mean, think about the job that the media was able to do. Trump and everybody who followed him got called fascists and Nazis for 4 years. Trump, we don't have any pictures of Trump doing the Sieg Heil. We don't have any pictures of Nazi insignia on anything Trump wears. And for 4 years, you had half the country calling this dude and everybody who voted with him a Nazi.
Yep.
And then they're co-signing, giving billions of dollars to actual Nazis.
Yep.
To a country that unseated other political parties so that they could win perpetually, who nationalized the media. I mean, this is like out and out clear fascism. That's okay. But the guy who's actually not a fascist in any historical sense, he's the one that we should be ringing the alarm on. I'm sorry. A lot of this is ego, but they got y'all.
Yep.
I know a lot of people are upset about this because one of the things about psychological warfare is the human ego is our biggest weakness.
Yeah.
And a lot of us don't want to say and admit that we got by the government. So we're going to double down and triple down as much as possible. We're going to say, no, there was some Nazi stuff with Trump, and the Azov Battalion isn't really that bad. We're doing all this stuff because we were too prideful to say the government got me. They got me hyped up into this big emotional sort of fervor over this dude. And because of that, I allowed free speech to be infringed. I allowed all these un-American activities that happen. And we're just going along with what the rich say, and we're just going along with what the media says. I mean, this happened during the COVID situation. It was like, we're just supposed to go along with this. because you guys said, I mean, that was essentially, it was like de fide, like I just spoke it into existence, so now this is what everybody should do. And it's like, these dudes were talking about mandating a shutdown of people, like restricting free movement. And the other thing is like, there's no, here's my thing with the whole COVID restrictions and the lockdown and stuff. I had a very like broad sort of allowance for people making mistakes. Like Nancy Pelosi said, we're all going to go to Chinatown and find an Asian person and hug him and kiss him, because Trump had said nobody's coming from China because they have this pandemic. Well, it turned out Trump was right about that. But Pelosi and the rest of those folks were saying, oh, this is racism, blah, blah, blah. He probably saved thousands of lives. I don't think Nancy Pelosi was doing that out of like animus. Like she wanted those people to die. She just didn't know what the hell was going on. You see what I'm saying? So like I'm willing to forgive those kinds of issues on the Republican and Democrat side. What I'm not willing to forgive is the fact that the CDC explicitly stated that they left out key data points.
I'm not so quick to forgive that.
Key data point. Well, I mean, how would she know?
You don't know, so be quiet. Why tell everybody go down to Chinatown and start hugging everybody? When we already knew at that point.
Chinese people from coming over. That's the issue.
She a doctor?
Yeah, but you have to put it in the context of he had a Muslim ban too. So
Yeah,
Trump was talking about banning Muslims, banning Mexicans. It's completely rational for her to say,
if she
"Oh,
says
you're doing this." You're speaking from a 2020 vantage point. Like if the thing was just the common cold, then it was ridiculous for Trump
back
to
when
ban
she
those people.
said it, we thought it was crazy that she was sending people down there because
No,
we
we didn't.
didn't know.
No, we didn't.
What do you mean? No, we
didn't.
didn't.
We didn't think it was crazy.
When you announced it
I had
to
a
me,
conversation. No, I had a conversation with you about it. You just rolled your eyes. You didn't think it was crazy. Because
I rolled my eyes that she sent them down there.
Yeah, you didn't think it was crazy.
Right.
You didn't think it was crazy though.
I thought it was a good idea.
No, what I'm saying is, it's something like this had never happened before.
Right.
So,
We
so
didn't
I'm
know
not.
anything.
I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback and say you should have done X, Y, Z. Because the fact of the matter is, if it was just a nothing, if it was just like the regular common cold, then everybody would be going after Trump and saying, well, he should have known better. In those situations, I put myself in a situation. I say, I don't know what I would have done. You know, if I was against Trump, I probably would have told those people.
How
to
is
go
that different than the other guy that was telling everybody to go to those conferences, and he himself died as well?
Well, that was in the middle of COVID when people were dropping like flies. This was right at the beginning. And
You don't- if you don't know-
Herman Cain, ridiculous. You're saying that now because you went through a pandemic.
I
But
don't
prior
believe,
to a pandemic.
You're saying, babe, the way that I feel about germs, the second I found out something was going on, I was like, this is gross. Like, we could be breathing it in, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but
You're
there's a
saying
big difference between saying that and you can't see your aunt.
No, that's not what you just
That's
said.
what's happening, right?
You
Like,
said she sent people down there. She was like, let's go down to Chinatown and hug every person that we... Like, that's not the same as you can't see your aunt. Why are you... That's not
it
the
is
same
because
thing.
she can't come over because she had said that in response to Trump's travel ban. So that was a responding to Trump travel banning Asians or Chinese people. So remember, there was a big thing about like, oh, you say this about Chinese people, the China virus, you're being racist, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
When in reality, the fucking virus originated in China.
Mhm.
So like, it's okay to call it West now. All those black people don't care about them. But don't you say a word about Asians. Like, the Democrats are funny to me. No, my point is, I'm very forgiving about the beginning. What I'm not forgiving about is the CDC purposely leaving out information because they said the public wasn't ready for prime time.
Mhm.
That's not your fucking job.
Mhm.
We never elected you to be the curator of what information I'm ready to absorb and not. Like that's. But like we're slipping so far in this country that people are not mad about shit that they should be furious about.
Mhm.
Like I understand disagreeing with Pelosi about sending people to Chinatown, but I don't think anybody has a right to be furious that people didn't bat 1,000 in a pandemic that none of us knew
Oh,
about.
no.
But it's the stuff afterwards. It's New York banning Kyrie Irving when Kyrie was right, and the NBA never circled back with Kyrie and said, you know what, you were right, we were fucked up, we should give you your pay because he couldn't play when he was in New York because he wouldn't take the vaccination. Like
for him.
there was a lot of shit that was happening
Mhm.
that should have really made people angry, and people were just like accepting it. It's like, you know, like, no, it's, you know, like, so I understand like this, and you know, he's talking about the new world that we're in, and yeah, the real issue is that the real problem is that we won't talk to each other, and the hyperbole around Trump has gotten so toxic that it's now impossible to have any sort of rational discussion about this dude, for or against. Like, the people that are for Trump are completely, like, irrational. Like, I ask people, like, you really, Mar-a-Lago, he didn't do anything wrong. Nope, he didn't do anything wrong. It's like, okay.
Can you put the lyrics back up?
All right, he didn't do anything wrong. All right, he's just being persecuted. All right.
I think, at the beginning of his song, he basically said something about, like, prayer, being down on your knees.
Yeah.
And I think that is more, like, I think that's more where I'm vibing with the guy, is that, back in the day, people would say, like, basically, I only survived because I know my mom was down on her knees praying.
Yeah.
And you don't really, like when I talk about moms in my generation, like, I don't personally know any moms, and I'm a Christian, I don't personally know any moms who go to battle for their kids through prayer anymore. Like, it doesn't seem like that's, like, a real, like, thing. Like, back in the day, it was like, all the black mothers are doing it for their kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could even meet somebody that their mama, that they couldn't say, that they would say their mama wasn't praying for them, And I think that we've gone away from that. And I think that that's very tragic. And I think that's part of a major part of the problem. And, I can't separate who we are from what we do. The Bible says that we don't wrestle with flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers of darkness that wage war against us. So the things that are unseen is what's coming after. So the stuff that you just listed off, that's all the seen stuff. But there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And I think that, we used to be like a people of prayer. And I think that that's where we've fallen so short. Like, we've gone so far away from that. Like, I know that there are still groups of people that still intensely pray and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, you can find them. There's International House of Prayer places all over the place. But I definitely think that that's, and even for myself, like, I got out of the habit of, like, praying diligently for my kids and for you guys. And, like, that was kind of one of the things that like God had brought back to me. And he was like, this is, this is the most important thing. And, so some of you did my prayers this week, intense ones too, So I don't know, like, I was really vibing with the song. I have country in my history. So usually this style of kind of more on the twangy side was not really my thing, but I did enjoy this one. And
what do you got?
I also like the part where he said, like, he'd be strung up in a psych ward
if it wasn't for his dog and the good Lord.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that's
there are times where
you gotta love him. You gotta love him for that line, though. You gotta love him for that line.
And that's why I brought it up, is because I really like that line, because there are times where I feel like, stuff feels like maybe out of control, and I feel like God brings sanity to a lot of insane situations, because there's a purpose and a reason behind everything. And so even though I don't see the reason, and even though it doesn't make any sense to me, and it looks like the only thing that's there is bad, I can believe and I can know that there's something, that God is at work behind the situation, and God is moving. And even though something looks really, really dark, and something looks really, really, like, endless and just like just death and decay, it's not like that. Like, God is behind it, and he is doing something. And I mean, the perfect example is Jesus on the cross. When Jesus died on the cross, like, it was death, and it was death in its most gruesome way. He was unrecognizable by the end of it. And in that situation, God made it so we could find our way back to him. Like, we could come to him, and he could be with us. And so I'm like, you know what? God can take a situation that's that ugly, that's that bad, and he can bring out something as glorious as what he did. Then there's so many situations in the world that can look so bad, and God can bring something out of it. And so, like, trust and believe. So I'm with the homie when he says, like, yeah, if it wasn't for God, I'd be in a really bad spot. And I'm with him on that. Like,
and your dog too?
Well, I mean, my dog brought me a lot of comfort when I had him, and I was sad when he passed away. But
it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. Shout out to who was that? Was that Jago or was it Manny? It was Manny, right?
Manny, I got Manny right when I had my miscarriage, so Manny was like, I don't know, like he was special in that way because it was like I would have had a baby, but I don't, and so I had my puppy. He was annoying though. He was always into everything, but I loved him. And then Jago was just a cool dog. He was he was solid. And he did bring me a lot of comfort, and he made me feel pretty safe. On the nights when my husband at the time was working. So.
All right, dear listener. Anyway, guess what?
I liked it. Guess what? I'm giving this one a 9.8.
9.7.
Wow.
I like that.
I like that.
I like that other band better than what the Rivers band.
How come it was so high for you? It's usually it's a country.
Because
song.
I don't like country, but I loved how real it was, and I was feeling dude's pain. So and it looked like it was so stripped down. It looked like he just did it in the backwoods of Maine somewhere. It was legit.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
With his truck in the background and the dogs, that was so funny to me.